Today we're going to be talking about hammer throwing. The first day I went to go throw a hammer, I walked with my coach ready for whatever he was going to throw at me. I expected all the drills he had me do, and I expected him to give me crap since I'm pretty little for a thrower. What I wasn't quite ready for was him calling me Mini Grasshopper. He told me that I wasn't even big enough to be Little Grasshopper. The worst part of it was that all of the other throwers started catching on, and they all started calling me Mini Grasshopper too. Hammer throwing takes a lot of hard work and practice. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the history of hammer throwing, how to build muscle mass for hammer throwing, and the basics of a throw. Hammer throwing started in the Celtian Games in Ireland in 1829 BC. When it took its first form, it was a boulder attached to the end of a wooden stick. It was often practiced at religious festivals honoring the god Thor. And according to hammerthrow.org, hammer throwing became a regular part of track and field in 1866 in England, Scotland, and Ireland. The hammers at the time had no set weight and usually had a handle length between 3 and 3.5 feet. Later, the hammer was thrown from a marked line so they could better measure the distance and accurately determine a winner. And according to Hammer Throw History, past to present, hammer throw was standardized in England in 1875. It weighed 16 pounds and was 3.5 feet long. And the circle width that they threw from was 7 feet. So the circle is very important in any kind of throws because it determines how many turns you can take, and those are really important because the more turns you have room for, the more force and momentum you can put behind your throw. Then later, after this was all standardized, the wooden handle was replaced with steel wire, and hammer throwing became an official part of the Olympics in 1900. To send the hammer as far as possible, you need an explosive movement that includes your arms, legs, and core. And according to 5 strength exercises for throwers, doing front and back squats works your quads, hamstrings, and hips. It also helps you stabilize your core, which these are all important for throws because you have to have your knees bent as you're doing your turns, and having a stable core will help you keep control of the hammer as you're turning. Power snatches are a full body movement, and they're another important exercise. The first phase is the extension, which involves the ankles, knees, and hips. And then the second phase builds strength in the traps and shoulders. And then finally, the third phase is the catch, which helps you stabilize the muscles and it helps you get control over that momentum, which is, again, important for hammer throw because you have the weight going in one direction and your body going in the other direction. So having a strong core and being able to stabilize something like you do in a power snatch is really important, and that's why it's a good workout. The first thing to learn about throwing a hammer is form. When first learning to do a turn, you're going to use a wooden rod that's 3 to 4 feet long, and then you're going to place your left hand with your throwing glove on one side of the pole, then you're going to wrap your right hand around it. You're going to put the end right below your belly button, bend your knees, and push your hips forward. According to Teaching Hammer Throw, you start on your left heel and your right toe, facing straight forward. From there, you're going to stay on your left heel and your right toe as you turn to 90 degrees. And then as you turn to 180 degrees, you are going to shift to both your left and right toe. And then as you transition between 180 and 270 degrees, you're going to lift your right foot and step down across your left. Then you're going to be stable on your right foot and on your left toe. And then as you turn back to 360 degrees, you're going to end exactly where you started on your left heel and your right toe. So I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to show you guys how to do this hammer turn. So I have my pole. It's not quite 3 feet long, but it'll work for this purpose. So I'm going to start by setting my feet. They're about shoulder width apart now. I'm going to put the pole right below my belly button, and I'm going to reach out as far as I can with my left hand, just holding the pole loosely between my fingers. I'm going to wrap my right hand around, hold it really tight there, and I'm going to bend my knees into an almost squat position. You guys might not notice, but my thumb isn't resting on the pole as I'm doing this. Only my right hand is. So anyway, from here I'm going to lift up my left toe, and I'm going to lift up my right heel. And then as I'm doing this, I'm going to turn to 90 degrees, staying on my toe and my heel. I'm going to turn to 180, moving to both toes, stepping across to 270. I'm solid on my right foot and on my left toe. And then as I turn back to 360, my weight's going to my left heel and my right toe. And my feet are about evenly aligned, which is good because you can't do another turn if your feet aren't aligned. So when throwers are competing, they'll typically do between 2 and 3 turns in that 7-foot ring that they have. And then that helps them build up force and momentum for a better throw. So today I talked to you guys about the history of hammer throwing, how to build up muscle mass for a good throw, and I showed you guys the basics of how to learn a throw. Overall, you don't have to be super big to be a thrower. You just have to have the drive for it and be willing to work on the technique and help build up your muscle mass.